There was.
Also
relocated in
1971.
As
Where, I
required
don't
by the
know,
Open
but I
Public, as required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, adequate notice this meeting was provided on January 14th, 2021, by publication of notice in the Express Times and posting of said notice in this meeting on the same date. Mayor Barsney?
Here.
Mr. Baylor? Probably here now. Mr. Beam?
Here.
Mr. Marqueta?
Here.
Ms. McDermott? Here. Mr. Lavery?
Here.
Mr. Finelli?
Here.
And
There
Mr.
he
Baylor?
is.
Just got it.
Please stand for pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to start the meeting out with a presentation. The recipient, I guess, is not here. He's away at college, but I believe his mother and father and any siblings or anything here,
No, his sibling is also a college.
fellow scouts,
We got
scoutmaster.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's gonna take it on behalf of John? The two of you?
Yeah.
This is for John Murdoch. He's an Eagle Scout, did a project out the Thomas Stewart Park for the picnic tables and stuff underneath the pavilion. But it's from the Greenwich Township with appreciation, recognizing and thanks John Murdoch for his generous contributions to Thomas Stewart Park, presented by the Greenwich Township Committee. It's dated September 16th, but he couldn't make it there. He's still gonna make it, so that's why we did it tonight. But we appreciate all that John did. We're proud of him. And and thanks for all the scouts, because we had a lot of good projects out there already. So
Yeah,
yeah.
get done sometime before we, whatever.
Yeah. Anybody else want to say anything before we go on? You're looking for a motion to approve the meeting minutes from regular meeting minutes from September 16th, 2021.
We need a modification.
Okay,
I did note that change and I'll correct that.
I don't
There
know if you
is,
want to put that in the
What-
motion.
okay, what's the,
there is a vote that's incorrect. Paul Beam was a no on one vote.
okay,
And I did confirm that with my notes, so I'll fix it.
oh, okay. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes as amended for September 16th. Anybody want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Looking for a motion to accept the treasurer's report and the October bill list. Everybody have a chance to look at it? Anybody want to pull anything before we do it, or? Looking for the motion then to accept. Got a motion from Lillian. Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Looking for a motion to accept the tax collector's tax and sewer reports for September. Anybody want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Anybody have any questions, comments on that? Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Police Department report. Chief, you want to give one, or you just submit the written one, or you have anything you want to add or say?
No, just, if there's any questions with the overtime report. Down quite a bit since, last year. Any questions? Maybe, I did post something recently about, home burglaries that we had in Greenwich Chase Development. Yeah, community day, actually, that we're currently investigating. So it's on our Facebook. We're still looking at leads and whatnot, camera footage around. So that's about it.
Have any questions?
Were those burglaries while people were in the homes?
Nobody was in the home.
Okay.
DPW, Joe's not here, so.
No, Joe's not here. And the other piece that he needs shows up later, so we can accept his report as is.
Okay. Lisa, you have anything you want to report on, or just a written one?
I mean, I have my written report, but there are several items on there that do need action. Do you want to just do them quickly now? They're
Yes.
not all on the agenda.
Yep.
So, as you guys are aware, we hired the new land use board secretary. This is just establishing her evening hours in the municipal building are going to be the first, third, and fourth Mondays, and then, of course, her meeting nights the second Thursday. And the other hour adjustment that was requested that I am in favor of, our tax assessor has asked to change her hours from Saturdays to Thursday evenings, and then have appointments as needed on the weekends, which I think will work out well for everybody. Better than the Saturday. So if we can just do a motion to approve those office hours.
Okay. Is everybody familiar with it from the report? I don't think we need to split them. Anybody want to make a motion to hire land use board secretary and adjust the hours for the land use board secretary and the tax assessor?
I'll make the motion.
Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments on it? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes, I'd
Um,
like to say something about Lisa's report if I could.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, because I just wrote something, so I'll try and read it quickly. It has been a busy month. I've been talking to Lisa in regards to office staff now. There's some projects she's been working on as part of the administrative duties. She's been working really hard on the township personnel policies and procedures, which we've all received a copy tonight. Lisa has been working on job descriptions so that our employees know what they're expected of as they work. She's drafted ordinances establishing positions and terms in the township code, which is saving the township money with attorney fees because she's consulting with Mike, who is agreeing with what she's doing and making any suggestions if needed. She's been, Shannon and her completed the best practice reviews, and not only did they score 18.5, they did a great job with that. She's been working with Shannon on bringing Prime Point in, which Prime Point would be able to give them a lot more reports and things that would be efficient to everybody, including us, the township committee. She's been working with Shannon to get a credit card for the township so that herself, Brian, people, anyone that puts out money, when they get reimbursed, they can't get reimbursed for the tax because they're not tax exempt themselves, but the township is tax exempt. So Lisa's been doing a really lot of work on and above showing that her administrative duties as township administrator are coming along, and they're helping, I believe, all of us, because she's able to feel things that people don't have to go through us. And I just want to recognize that position, that it's working well, I think, for us. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Recreation Committee, I did a review with that with our new insurance agent, and we can have a cost savings, but I do need a motion on the record if you guys are in favor. It is comparable coverage, but it'll save us $727. So,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other questions, comments, discussion on it? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
We have to, in terms of what William said, we have to accept the best practices report into the record so that Shannon can then post it on the website as is necessary. That's all the way in the back of your packets. In the last couple of years with the best practices, they've made a lot of the questions unscored. They're just sort of polling municipalities, if you will. But we did do very well, 18.5 points this year. And there's no loss of funding as long as you have 15. So we're in good shape. So I guess we just need a motion on the record for that as well.
Just like accepting it, or?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we accept the report for best practices inventory platform. Anyone want a second?
Second.
Any other questions, comments, discussions on it? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
The last item that I had that needs action is we had discussed it at the last meeting, and I had wanted to hold it for this month so I could get one point clarified with Prime Point, but that is the new payroll company, and it will cost us a few $100 extra a year, but it seems that it would be very worth it so that we can in-house produce reports that right now we have to go to R&L and Wade and, consult with them. So I do endorse it. This is something that Lillian suggested when she first came on board, and I think it's a good idea. And Shannon uses it in her other municipality and said it's fabulous. So she's not here tonight. She wanted to be, but she's not feeling well. So I told her I would handle that. So
we need a motion to,
we're gonna switch payroll services from R&L to Prime Point for 2022, if you guys are in favor of that.
okay, you want to make the
I'll
motion?
make the motion.
Maybe one second.
I'll second it.
Anybody have questions or comments on it? We discussed this a few meetings ago,
We
right?
did. I just have
It'd
one,
be a savings, plus we figure it's going to be a manpower savings.
correct.
Okay. Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
ACO report, there were no calls in September. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Court report for September. Paul, you have anything you want to say about it?
No, I don't. It's here in your packet. And it just shows what ran through the court system and the fines and so on and so forth and distribution.
Okay,
It's the same one as normal.
okay. So I'm looking for a motion to accept the consent agenda for the police department, DPW, township clerk, the ACO, and court reports. Anybody want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that motion. Anybody have any further comments, questions on it? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Committee reports. Anybody have any committee reports?
Yeah, I have two. So the Recreation Committee, Stuart Lloyd officially resigned. And they're looking at replacing him. I do have a member. I just want to confirm that he would like the position, and we'll go next month. And
You wanna wait till next month?
yeah, we'll wait next month. That, and I think, Community Day ran smooth. Thank you for, all your help, Lisa, and organizing that with the chief and everyone else. I think it was a great day, and everyone had fun, and overall, it ran smoothly.
You want to make a motion to accept the letter of resignation?
Yeah, I'll make the motion. to, Accept Stuart Lloyd's resignation. Rec Committee.
I'll second. Anybody have any questions, comments on it? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
And Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Any other committees?
Real quick, just a brief thing, and this also applies to the fire department too. Just kind of putting the word out. The Santa train will be stopping in Stewartsville again up on Prospect and Warren Street. I don't have the date right in front of me, but it's early December 4th. But they'll be collecting toys for the Toys for Tot program for the Marines again. So the squad building will be set up again to accept toys. We'll have a big box outside. And I'm not quite sure where the fire department will or won't be, whether they were just putting out an information. But we will be a drop-off site.
I have a couple things. Update on the basketball courts. So we had a good pre-construction meeting with Mike and Elcon. As you can see, if anybody goes back there, we started the construction to replace the basketball courts. The millings were done today. So that's moving along. There was one thing on the basketball courts that I do want to bring up. It's the painting of the courts themselves. So the original spec did not include the painting of the courts. In my opinion, doing the courts without painting them is just replacing what we already had there. I don't think it's a good look. I just think we need to have the courts painted. Brought it up in the Open Space Committee. Unanimously, the Open Space Committee did vote and agree with the fact that we should do a full painting of the courts. If we're going to invest that kind of money in the basketball courts, then the town, should do it the right way. So I asked Hailcon to give me estimates on painting the courts. I asked for two different estimates. One was just to paint the center court. The other one was to paint the entire one. The difference of the two was 3,000 and change. So to paint just the center court was 14,000. Was it 14? What was that about? I don't have it open. Anyway, to paint the entire basketball courts, that means the center court and the horizontal courts, the cost would be 17,770. this is a professional company. I've heard a lot of good things about them, and I think it would be appropriate for us to, if we're gonna have them do the courts, let's have them do the painting. So I'm gonna make a motion that the entire court gets painted, not just the center court, for $17,770.
I'll second that. Any questions, comments, discussion on?
Wow. That's an awful lot of money for lines. Is there more to it than just basketball lines and?
Yeah.
Fill me in.
Do you mind, Frank?
No, I don't mind.
I don't want to cut you off. What Frank's really talking about, and I went to look at the rest of it, there's no picture. The lines were part of the original bid.
Well,
So that's
which is
just
what I thought.
But
Okay.
what this is painting the court surface. And they showed a couple pictures of other work that they've done, other courts that they have done. So basically, it's to accent the, let's say, the key and so forth in like a green paint. So it's pretty obvious of when it's done. It is a nice look. I mean, do you have colors? Do we have
I
colors
actually-
picked out?
No, we don't have colors picked out.
Yeah, because we got to pick out the colors too, because
Also
so
mentioned
it's the actual court
Yeah.
surface, Paul, that's gonna get painted. It's a surface treatment they put on the blacktop. I call it, it's more than paint.
It kind of like seals and makes it smooth, but they do it in like a school color or whatever the township color.
The only thing I would say is, if it's over 17.5, we'd have to bid it, so and if they can sharpen their pencil and get it under 17.5, then you can just get 3 quotes.
Wait a second. It's not
This is
a
an
20%.
addition,
It's,
you're
they
gonna
have
say
a
it's a
contract,
change
the
order?
contract was for 100. This is a separate, the painting of the lines was part of the spec, and this isn't more than 20% over.
It was part of the spec?
Yeah. Not the
You mean the lines,
painting
not
of the
painting.
court surface.
Oh.
The lines were, all the line work was part of it. This is
So
just,
we're gonna treat this as a change order?
well, I wasn't even sure it was on tonight's agenda. I don't know.
You want to hold it up so you
Can
can
we
research it?
wait till executive, because I have.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it in a second.
I think there's an easy way to.
Okay.
So trying to find.
Well, I made a motion and we just gotta vote it down.
Roll call.
I have a motion, I don't think I have a second.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, you
you
did?
seconded it.
Okay, sorry. Mayor Barsney?
No.
Mr. Baylor?
No,
Mr. Beam?
no.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Ms. McDermott?
No,
All right, at the last meeting, you brought up the issue with the dogs at the park. So we ended that meeting with, let me take it to the open space committee before we restrict dogs at the park. So I did, I brought it to the open space committee. I think there's somebody in the audience that actually attended the meeting who was concerned about this, and I'm sure you'll speak at public comment, but, the unanimous consent of the open space committee was to try and resolve it without restricting dogs from the park, to have more signage put up and to try to get enforcement down there. They think that if we were to do something like that, we were to restrict the dogs at the park, that we should open up to some kind of public hearing so people can voice their opinions on it, because they think there'll be a lot of people in town that wouldn't want that. So that's what came out of the open space committee. I don't know where, I mean, I know we've been talking about more signage for a long time there.
It doesn't matter. I don't walk there that much anymore, but it doesn't matter to me, whatever you want to do. But
But we need to decide, like, if we want Mike to start, or somebody, Joe, start looking into putting more signs up.
Yeah, because I thought he did add a couple that we had. Is signage really gonna make people do the right thing? Now, mind you, I'm not anti-dog, but you either are or you aren't, and a sign or two is not going to change it. But at the same rate, I don't even know how you're going to monitor the situation or enforce anything. I mean, wow, that is a tough one all the way across the board. That's just my opinion. It's not saying anything one way or another.
look, enforcing what the
The dog, issue and stuff. I mean, it's not like we're gonna have dog police up there or something like that, you know? I mean, maybe getting the word out that this could become a non-dog park might be sufficient enough for a few people to pick up their game or something like that.
If you're gonna, I think the only way to do that is you have to put something up there.
No, well, that's what I'm thinking, right? You know,
That says-
one sign versus multiple and say, hey, but again,
I-
that's just
I-
throwing
I
out an
hear you.
idea
All I know is last time, the answer was put more stands up with the,
with the bags, which Joe did.
and there literally was a dog that went to the bathroom.
Right
the
at the
post,
stand,
and
right.
they never even picked it up.
I've seen that too.
I mean, I'm actually in the process of starting to plan on walking the park on a daily basis, you know, strictly for
So-
exercise, mind you.
Oh, so bring something to pick up.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, so I'll be able to watch the situation, but,
I
getting
don't
people
know.
to do the right thing is gonna be the challenge.
So I'm bringing you what the recommendations
Yep.
from the Space Committee. I don't know where you guys,
And they're not
What are you looking, need a motion to order signs?
I don't know. It's like, I mean, if you think it's something that we need to do, then I would have Joe maybe go down there and take a look where he thinks more signs could go. If you want to do that.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, put the signs where they can't go under the pavilion, because that's where the dog went to the bathroom. It was
I don't know that
on
we,
the
I don't know that
pavilion,
we can
underneath
restrict
in
them
the
from going
pavilion,
on
it
the
goes in the
pavilion.
pavilion.
What's that?
The dog went to the bathroom.
Yeah, but how you get, like Keith said, how do you ever enforce that? I mean, the easiest way to enforce is either you allow dogs, or you don't allow dogs.
Right.
As long as you see a dog, you write a summons. If you don't see a dog, you don't see a dog. That's the easiest way to enforce.
If you want to,
All the signs, everything else, you can put it up, you can try it. I don't think it's gonna change any behavior.
I'll leave it up to somebody.
Well, let's talk to Joe and
This
meet up
this is
there.
this is
and-
what I've said all
Right.
from the beginning. I noticed that when I used to walk there a lot. And I've never suggested to do away with dogs. I feel that people who use the park will eventually force that issue. Either they're gonna come in and say, I'm tired of stepping in dog crap,
Right.
or enough people with dogs are there that no one cares. And I'm willing to live with that either way. That's the way I feel it. But my only point really whatever was is there's no way there was always dogs over in Greenwich. It's the dog park of the area.
I don't disagree. with
That was my only point.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
so
Okay.
I could talk to Joe and see if he can recommend different areas to put it up for now.
It's fine with me.
I don't know what we could do for enforcement though. I mean, I'm open to any ideas from Mr. Labor.
Well, I've commented to a couple of people, you know, I said, see something, say something. You know, I mean, I certainly don't want to be nitpicking the PD with it, but the reality of it is maybe if some people saw some enforcement because somebody saw it, you know, again, it changes a small percentage of the,
I only
Perspective,
mentioned
but-
my observation.
no, right,
I
right.
don't really, no one's in here beating us down saying you need to do
Nope.
something about dogs in the
Nope.
park. So as long as the people using the park aren't complaining, I really don't care. When I was going out there doing COVID a lot and walking, like I said, literally, there were days I counted more dogs than people.
Well, it's good. Nobody's coming in here complaining, but I have heard
Well,
complaints.
I'm complaining. I was told,
That's right. That's
I
right.
was told to walk around the dog because the dog in front of me, the people in front of me said that I was making the dog nervous. I'm walking on the dog, I'm walking on the path.
Yeah.
I'm making your dog nervous?
I get people who complain even at the homes, the people with the retractable leashes, and they let the dogs go 20, 25 feet into people's yards.
Right.
I mean, so I do get complaints about that occasionally from people and say, is there anything you can do? I tell them to call the police, but I do get those complaints from people. I mean, I don't know how somebody walking a dog thinks it's okay to let a dog go 25 feet in somebody's yard, but that's what they do.
Right.
So let Frank talk to Joe
Does,
and maybe we can work.
You know, like the mayor said, the easiest way to do it, either you have to ban dogs or you have to allow all dogs. There's no, I mean, we represent a condo association that we're gonna threaten DNA testing of dog poop. You know, because it's, I mean, how do you police, unless you catch somebody's dog and,
Yeah.
you know, they're not there with a
Right.
bag or whatever, it's just difficult.
You're kidding with the DNA. test.
No, that's, I was threatened.
Wow.
That was not my idea, by the way.
Good.
So as far as I'm concerned, go ahead and talk to Joe and see if you want to come up with some answers and bring it up next time. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
All All right.
That's the
You
way
and
to do it.
David, Board of Ed.
Yeah, I have a couple things to discuss. Lisa, were you able to find out if we could place on the website the testing for COVID?
I believe I sent that to Cindy.
Okay. We have
Have you-
free testing in town that Board of Ed has offered for all residents. So we're gonna place that on the website as soon as possible. Maria reached out to me and asked if we could put that on. There's,
What are the particulars?
for the
Yeah,
testing.
where they doing it and how, and
The link will be on the website. Do you know, Vicky?
Yeah, they're doing it at the middle school. It's on, originally when it first started, it was taking 18 to 24 hours to get the results. But now that more people are doing it, it's taking a little longer and you can have it done. They're at the middle school on Monday nights from 3 to 7. And it's open to district employees and anyone, any of the township residents.
Thank you for that. That and the Safe Schools, we're looking into next year getting the grant because of easement, Mike.
Well, there's two, I met with Joe as we talked last month, maybe the next day, actually. And talked about what we thought would be a good application, which it would be a great application, actually. It really would complete the missing link, so to speak, of our walking path and bike paths and so forth. However, we have a private property that we need to secure an easement from to run the path from basically the park down to the middle school. Donna Becker from our office sent everybody an email and kind of explained what the obstacle was, which really didn't allow us nearly the time we would have taken to get everything in place for this year. So that's the first step, is to basically talk to the property owner. It's the same, the mansion's property. So, and it may, I mean, it's a 50-foot easement, be more than adequate, and then it's not that long of a stretch, wrap around the side and then back of his prop, be very unimpactful. Is that a word? Unimpactful? Okay. So that's the next step. Somebody's got to make the call or decide who wants to reach out for him and see what his thoughts are. But there's no project without it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Do we have to reach
I
out?
was curious, isn't there, if that was done, if that path was extended, that would put more homes within the walking distance of the middle school and it would save on courtesy busing, I think.
I don't think so. Because
Oh,
doesn't-
you don't have it
isn't it-
anymore.
No,
There's
courtesy.
no, what it would
Oh.
save is possibly on mandatory busing. because we
Okay.
Did away with courtesy.
Okay, mandatory, yeah, I misspoke.
Yeah.
The mandatory, there might be a savings to the school.
Possibly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think last time they brought it up, there was mentioned that it
Yeah, I'm
was.
not quite sure how that actually works, but
So.
I didn't know as the crow flies.
Yeah. we-
2 miles.
Yeah.
Two miles.
Is it as the crow, as the crow flies? I mean.
Yeah.
okay.
Vicky, we asked, because she's our liaison
sorry.
from the Board of Ed, but everyone else is not allowed to just jump in, sorry. I know it's misleading, but she's our rep from the board, so we allow her to speak during the Board of Ed committee report. so.
One last thing, public question number 3, they're holding, do you want to discuss this? Is that what you want?
Yes.
You could discuss it.
There is public question number 3 on the ballot in a couple of weeks. Make sure you look at number 3 because there's 2 state questions. But number 3 is to acquire funds so that we can hire 6 new teachers. These teachers, without 6 new teachers, there's a possibility that the class sizes will increase from right now. They are 16 to 19, and they could increase from 24 to 34. Another benefit is to maintain the excellent test scores that our students have without this extra money, we're gonna have a teacher shortage. And it will also, having more kids in a class, you know, when people are thinking about moving into town, it could possibly, potentially bring down our property values. There are multiple fact sheets on the school website. If anybody has any questions, a lot of people have asked, how did we get to this point? Why can't we just hire the teachers now? But several things have happened over the last few years, one of which being the tax levy cap was decreased from 4% to 2%. The high school tuition has been going up quite a bit. We've had a reduction in our state funding. There are multiple reasons. And again, there's fact sheets on the website. We also will be having a town hall forum on October 28th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the middle school, 6 o'clock in the evening at the elementary school. And that's also posted on the website. And there will be lots of information given out as well as a question and answer.
You can register
session.
online too.
Yes. I think that might be it. So.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
Lily, you have anything? Oh, you're done, right?
I'm done.
Professional reports. Mike Finelli, have anything?
Well, Frank talked about basketball courts. That should be pretty quick turnaround. That's why the painting is gonna be kind of important, because there'll be, if we have to wait another month, then I guess we'll find out. I'm sure it can be done after the fact,
I
but,
think they were gonna paint in the spring anyways. Aren't they?
well, they were gonna do the line, they were gonna do the lines now.
Yeah, the line.
Just the lines, but
They're not
that's not
paying.
affected by this.
Yeah,
The lines are.
Oh,
started.
either way, this doesn't happen till the spring?
yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
know.
I think, well, that's what he said.
Oh, okay, well, then
You
it
said-
doesn't
you said
matter,
the
okay.
weather-
I didn't realize that, okay, fine.
And he was having trouble getting the supplies.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, there's probably paint all the way across the
Yeah.
board.
Okay. The 2022 DOT grant applications, there's been no notifications. And again, this is strictly just a reminder for when you guys get into your budget. Next year, you have to do the Rick Line Road Section 2, which we got the grant for this year. So just a friendly reminder, and otherwise relatively quiet.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Sure, think you have anything important in public?
No, my items are all executive session, unfortunately.
Old business, town is owned property. This probably could be removed unless somebody has something.
Well, this is still I think the carryover from that small piece by Chamois
Yeah,
Shine.
but we're rolling that
you're-
into the area of redevelopment, so let's
redevelopment,
remove
right.
this from the agenda for next time, because that's
Right.
gonna be in the area either, okay. Community Day, the only thing I can say about it was nice, I appreciate everything everybody did. I know Lisa did a lot of work, and actually had her, at least her father, was her mother here too?
All of them.
The whole family
Get out
here.
there, volunteer.
All of them.
Her whole family was here doing, and they don't even live in the township. And did a lot of work on that, so I certainly appreciate it, and she's got a very giving family. I've gotten to know them in the last 2 months, and they're very active in a lot of good causes in both Warren and Hunter counties, and just good people, and it's a pleasure to know them, and appreciate their work.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything on Community Day? Oh, I
did
do
wanna
want to, I think we should pick a date, and we talked about this before. I thought originally we had picked the weekend after the fire convention. And we changed it this year for some reason to October. I don't remember why. But can we pick the date for next year now? So Lisa could send out thank you letters to participants and put on the bottom, next year it's going to be. And I also want to put on the website, since we had people looking to volunteer to be on this Community Day committee on our website, so people can, by maybe January, we can start having a meeting or something and get ahead of this rather than trying to throw it together in 3 months and Lisa having their whole family here again.
Yeah, I would like it if we can move it from that weekend of the 9th, if possible.
Now, Jim's not here, but I
around
think the
that weekend.
fireman's convention, I'm gonna guess next year would probably be like the 17th, 18th, so we talk to the 24th, 25th.
I'm good with that.
Saturday, right now.
Yeah, well, I was just reading the weekend, I guess.
Yeah.
fireman's.
And traditionally, it was always kind of that last weekend in September anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, we always,
Usually in September, just to
Yeah, it's
avoid
24.
the weather again.
Mhm.
let's see.
So Bob, while you're looking for that date, I did want to mention
It's
that.
gonna
I-
be September 16th and 17th, 2022.
16th,
Sounds good.
So the following weekend, we should be okay with
24th.
24th. I'm 21, okay, yeah.
It's 24th.
Yeah, I was looking, okay, so September 24th, Saturday, is everybody okay
I'm
with
good
that?
with that.
I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so we need to do that by motion or not? We just-
No,
So September 24th, you can send out the thank you letters.
Yeah.
Thank you for their participation. Let them know it's going to be September 24th next year. And
post to the website.
post to the website already. We're looking for volunteers, since people were mentioning out there, they want to get involved, so.
And I was just gonna mention, Bob, that I did meet with Colleen from Recreation last night, and she submitted all of the donations that they received for the 5K Hero Run. So the Belcastro family donation is getting pulled together, and I think Chief Humber's gonna be giving that to them. So anyway, I think they were able to raise over
Thanks for your help
$3,000.
with the
So
run too.
thank you for your help,
Thank
Brian.
you. And thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief. So that's good.
Anybody else on community then? Basketball coach, you already did the
You already
update,
did
right?
that, yep.
Zoning officer
That's-
follow-up,
No enforcement. follow-up.
enforcement.
Yeah,
follow-up,
yeah, that was, I think I put that on there.
Yeah.
So, I think we've been talking about this for, I would have to probably say last 6 months, this has been going on. And we keep talking about enforcing the zoning at the business locations. Nothing seems to happen. I mean, the same issues are still there. We still have the graffiti on the two properties. Now I see graffiti on the retaining wall. That you can, I don't know if anybody else seen that, the retaining wall
Which
at the Target there, you can see it from Route 78, there's graffiti on there.
one?
Nobody
we-
saw it, right? Now you brought through the.
No, well, yeah, you'll see it now.
Yeah, I tried looking
You've
for
seen
it.
it, Brian?
Yeah, I
didn't
haven't
see
been
that
out
one.
there
I saw-
looking at
I
it.
saw graffiti on the building.
So we got graffiti everywhere and I don't know, we were supposed to send letters. If the letters went out, they're not doing anything. I don't know if we can do this or not, but like, for instance, in our town, if people aren't mowing their lawns, we mow their lawns and we charge them for it. Is that something we could do to take care of the graffiti, Mike? And then
Yeah,
charge them for it?
We have a very strict property maintenance ordinance, property maintenance code that talks about all of this stuff,
Mhm.
commercial buildings, non-commercial buildings, blighted structures. I mean, it's very comprehensive.
But
So,
my question is, I don't think the fines are doing it. I mean, I think we have to actually go out there and take care of it ourselves at this point because they're not doing it. You know, have they been issued a fine? I know they've been issued
Well,
warning
they-
letters.
they-
So I did ask Larry to give me copies of all the violations that went out on that particular property. You know, it's multiple parcels, so they're all named on this one. But the notice went out on August 28th. And with his 14-day time period, it was due 9/11. So I asked Larry, I said, when did the follow-up letter go out? And he said it didn't. So it's on his to-do list. But I said that I would speak to Mike, you know, even offline and find out, like, if at this point, just make sure the ordinance supports issuing a fine to that. But this is,
And that's the graffiti one?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Well,
But
we need to send it to the mall owner now, so that needs to be added to it.
yeah, so the code says that if you send a notice and they don't do it, we can do it and then place it as a lien on the property, just like you would for when you have to go and cut the grass. So
So,
if the property maintenance, if he wrote them up for graffiti, if they don't do it, it says right here that we can go in and do it under the auspices of the property maintenance officer, who's the zoning officer, unless you designate somebody else.
Right.
And then they keep track of the costs and everything, and then that gets placed as a lien on the property.
so
like
well,
just like
Lisa
that.
mentioned sending another letter. I mean, why are we sending another letter? We sent them a letter, they're not doing it.
there's a procedure we have
Yeah,
to
we
follow,
have
same
to.
as lawn maintenance.
Well,
So
he just said it's just one letter.
the letter that we have to send them is that basically we're doing it. Then Joe goes out. There's a
Oh, you're
whole,
gonna send them a letter that we're gonna do it. Okay.
There's a whole list that we have to follow.
Well-
And then eventually we have to get we get the numbers from Joe, the amount of time they put in, the cost of materials, et cetera. And then township committee has to approve those. And then Eloise puts it on as a
I don't-
lien.
Do we do that when we want the lawns? We have to go through all
Well, to
that?
be, well,
We have
I don't
done
want
it
to, we were
since I've been
supposed to do
here.
that.
It's
Unfortunately,
a
the
lot.
reality is we've been mowing all these lawns that have been out of
Yeah,
it
whatever.
and have never gotten a return on it because we did not do it right.
Okay. All right, so let's
We
get the
are
wheels in
now, but it
motion.
is a cumbersome
Right.
problem. And Mike and I have talked about like making this easier. Because there's so many steps
For some reason,
involved.
yeah, Lisa's right. The way your code's set up, it's like somebody has a violation, so you can issue the violation, but then you can't take any action on the violation until you send like another notice. It's a really crazy process. So that's gotta be streamlined, but the answer to the major question is yes, we can force them to clean it up. If they don't clean it up, we can do it, and then we charge it it becomes a lien against the property, just
So what
like
are we
that.
looking at like for a timeline for this to get done? Like how long, we send them another letter, or
Well,
it's
to-
going on forever?
To get the work done, I don't think it'll be that long, but to
Okay.
get the lien placed on the property, that's a whole nother step. Like we have to have another meeting. I have to have
Yeah,
you
that's
guys.
fine.
So the
I'm
whole
more concerned about
process,
the work at
2
this
months,
point.
3 months. Yeah. I
And with
think,
that being said, Lisa, the letters that came back, were they signed by
Oh, they
the
were,
owners? Okay, so
including my
because
vacant
that's the other
property
problem.
registration.
you don't
letters.
have to sign that and it'll just sit there forever and come back to you. Which is why actually you send out two, one
So-
regular
so
mail and
we
one
have-
another
We have
one.
3 locations right now. Is that what it, we have the two by the car wash, right?
Mhm.
And now we have the retaining wall.
Correct.
Okay, so it's 3 locations.
So I'll need that additional location from you or to point it out to
Yeah,
Larry.
it's on the retaining wall by Ashley.
Okay,
If it goes around, it
And that would be
faces,
Madison Properties who
Okay.
gets that letter.
it faces Route 78.
okay.
All right, so thank you for that. There's also been an issue, I think it's a recurring thing, well, Brian's brought up to me too, the panhandling at the-
Panhandling,
at the
yeah.
Target.
Yeah. It's been a big
So it's the
issue.
same people that, I don't know,
Playing music.
they're playing music, they're coming back, they're panhandling, I don't know, what we can do about this. What
But
they
that's
do.
Target's private property, right? Why aren't they,
Well,
call
do
the
we need
police
to
or-
send them something, asking
well,
politely?
if they don't complain, I mean, it's a problem because it's private property. So I mean, they've invited the public to a certain degree, but you can, it's private property. I mean, you can tell people to leave. And if they don't leave, you can call the police. Now the police escort them off your property. So I guess the question is.
But we have a non-panhandling zoning ordinance, even if it's on private property, it's allowed. I mean, there's a lot of things on private property we don't allow.
No, I mean, we could talk about this a little more in executive session. There's a lot of stuff that we prohibit that, or is it like, for instance, people always complain and say, we have a no loitering ordinance. Well, those are unconstitutional. They've been unconstitutional for probably 30 years. There's a US Supreme Court case that says you have a right to loiter and loaf, as long as you're not committing any other crime. So if you're sitting on it was like, I don't know if you remember, but a couple of years back, we had to take public drunkenness out of all the codes, because apparently you can be drunk in public, not that we encourage that, but as long as you're not committing a crime, if you're sitting on a bench and you're drunk, if there's nothing, you can't charge somebody with that crime. So I'm just using that as an illustration. So I'll take a look at the definition of panhandling in the ordinance, but like I said, loitering is not a violation, even though every town happens to have a code that prohibits it, but you're allowed to loiter and loaf. And I think in this thing, the easiest thing is somebody should call Target and say, hey, this is a problem. Haven't you guys, if they're committing a crime, whether it's on public property or private property, we can do something about it, but people just hanging
I don't
out.
mind
or-
taking the non-aggressive action right now, but I think we need
Yeah,
to take the action, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe if we authorize the mayor, Lisa could write something up, for you to send them a letter, if you're comfortable with it.
I
don't
guess
know.
here's the issue. I'm not the lawyer here, but I think I'm getting a sense of what Mike's saying is if they're not, if Target's not complaining and there's somebody who are playing music, and people are giving them money, and you're gonna enforce that, does that mean they can't let the Girl Scouts sit at the table here and sell Girl Scout cookies either? Is that panhandling? You can't let the Salvation Army put the person out there with the bell and the bucket at Christmas time with their permission? Is that, am I thinking around along the same line?
Yeah, and I guess, do they get permits? Do we require them to get permits before they do that?
I don't think we do, no. That's what I'm saying, like, if, the problem is that, similar back to the dog issue, no one's really complaining, it's Target, if it was affecting Target's customer base, I would assume they'd be calling the chief early saying, get them off my property. I think that's what the problem is.
I think that's the basic, if Target would just say, hey, we don't want these people on, these guys are hanging out, they're loitering, they're paying, whatever, then they could call the police can go over there and do something about it. But if the owner's not willing to do something about it, and then that puts us in a bad spot. Unless, if they're committing a crime, that's a totally different story, but they're just hanging out. And I think the mayor brings up a
If
good point.
if they're playing their music and people are throwing it in as a donation, I mean, I don't know, is that panhandling? I know that's what you have to research, you said, right?
All right,
I mean, that's why I would be leery of sending a letter, because I don't want them to turn around and use the letter and start telling every group, oh, you can't collect money for Christmas here. The mayor sent me a letter saying you can't do it. If that was really affecting Target's customer base, it was that much of a problem, I gotta believe they'd be calling me by now saying, why aren't the police doing something about it?
Yeah, I don't think it affects Target's customer base. It affects the quality of life for the residents of Greenwich. You don't want to live around a deteriorating business area with garbage, people going up to people asking them for money. It's just getting bad over there. And there's been complaints about that. I know Brian's gotten complaints. I've seen complaints
Got a lot of
on
complaints.
social media about the panhandling over there. So that's really, I don't think Target's gonna care because it's not gonna affect their business. But anyway, that, I just brought it up and we'll see where we go.
And I know the chief has been up there on, he has been called before by, not Target, by residents or customers per se. And he's gone up and moved them along.
Well, let's
Yeah,
talk.
I
an
mean, I just don't think
executive-
it's a good look for the
Let's talk
town.
an executive with Mike, and then if not, then they can maybe look up a definition of what exactly panhandling is and isn't.
Okay.
Next month or something.
All right, so, sorry to keep going on this, but this is the continuing thing that really never gets resolved. So there's continuing sign violations by the same people that we supposedly sent letters to, and they continue to put signs up in violation of our ordinance without getting permits for the signs. So I don't know where we are with that,
Lisa, what did Larry have from those places that he
because
sent
I think
out?
at this point, they gotta start getting fined, because they know that they're not supposed to do it, and they keep doing it.
Do you have any registered mail that's come back from them so that they acknowledge that they know?
The letters that went out on that particular subject were to Ashley and Mattress Firm. And he went out there, met with them in person, and then sent a letter with the zoning ordinance section to them as a follow-up about a week later at our direction.
And about what was that time frame?
When was our meeting? These went out September 14th, so it would have been the previous meeting that we brought it up.
Right.
Would have been the August meeting we brought it up, and then he went out there, and I think a week later, he sent the letter as a follow-up with the zoning section, allowing them the opportunity to follow the
Okay.
temporary special event
Actually, that
sign.
was mostly.
Yeah.
No,
But, so what's the follow-up on that one now? So are we gonna find them now?
So, well, since Larry's not here, and I don't know, unless he issued, he could have issued a special event permit for Ashley, but have you seen Mattress Firm out too again since this?
I haven't seen Mattress Firm out again, but now I've seen Odd Lot putting stuff up too.
Yeah, so that would be a new one. He would, they haven't been privy to the
Well,
ordinance.
I think Joe might have
Ashley-
taken it down already, so it's probably too late, but.
Actually, a Mattress Firm now know the rules, and if they want to do it, they should be coming in and getting permission from Larry.
Okay, so the next time we see them up, then they should be getting the fine.
Then there should be a permit,
and
or,
they should have a letter sent to the new tenants so that they know.
Big well.
well, that, I suggested it to Frank a couple weeks ago. I said a letter should go out to all of those businesses, giving them the opportunity to follow our current code, which I would support. You tell them what they can do. And hope, if they don't follow the rules, then we have a mechanism to, take them and find them.
So I want to take a bit, just one last thing. Target, when they started doing the work over there, they put all of these huge storage bins in the parking lot. They've been there for months on end. I guarantee that, I think the storage bins probably don't conform to zoning. They probably never got a permit for them. Can we at least find out when they're gonna remove them? I'm not looking to fine them for it. I know they're doing work,
Right, they say
But
they
there
can't
has
get
to be-
drivers.
huh?
Right, they say they can't
Right.
get drivers.
And you said something about big lots too, right? With all the,
Well, they have storage in the back,
yeah.
but,
Right, so we called a month ago to have it removed, there's no drivers.
Well, that's what they said, it's not our problem.
Yeah,
So,
Because they should have gotten a permit,
yeah.
because I don't think it's allowed what they're doing. So just follow up. on
if
that.
those storage bins are related, at Target are related to that solar project, I do know they just
I
got
don't
their
think
sign
so. No, I
plans.
think they're
It's
doing
not,
work. I think they're doing work inside Target.
Okay.
I understand it was they're storing stuff there while they're remodeling.
Yeah, remodeling
Right.
the place, but they've been there for months.
Okay.
Oh, they, oh, yeah.
okay.
It's been a long time, yeah. I just want to just remind them that they gotta get rid of it, you know? That's it.
Recreation Committee bylaws. We want to,
We gotta adopt these.
huh?
We gotta adopt these. They've been on the agenda for,
Yeah, well, first of all, I talked to Mike, we really don't need bylaws, you said for a committee, right?
No.
There's no requirement for it. But did everybody have a chance to review them or read them, or you have an opinion? I'm sure you're the liaison.
The person I was working on it resigned, so I think give them one more month to look at it. And then if we don't need them, then
well, I wanted them for us so that there's
Okay.
sort of a standard that we expect of them. Not that they want them, but so that they understand that we expect them, you know, code of conduct, all that stuff. Good idea.
You want to take a month to look at it then?
yeah, we'll take a month and then vote on it.
I'll tell you about a recent meeting.
Okay, yeah, probably not a bad idea for the last meeting.
Okay, you got a table. these,
Table and then we'll vote on it next month.
Okay.
Shared services with executive, I think, right, Mike?
Yes.
Leaf farm update. Is there anything on there, or is this should be taken off?
Well, we're having trouble finding the original deed, so Joe Bell, the county council doesn't have it, so I have a trade calls with Alex Zorzak, county administrator, so. They sent us a copy of it, but we need the original file, so.
Yeah.
Joe Bell.
Locks at Thomas Stewart Park. I'm sorry, Mike. you got-
No, I'm done.
We had asked Joe Mexi to look into getting time locks for the bathrooms out there, but also we asked, if we didn't ask, he told us and we kind of agreed. The locks have never been changed from the initial construction. So contractors, everybody had keys to that building from when they were going and doing work, so we really need to have that all rekeyed for security purposes. We originally gave them authorization to put in the locks for up to $1,500. We got two quotes, the cheapest quote to do Thomas Stewart Park with the time locks on the bathroom and rekeying all the locks at Thomas Stewart Park and at Stecker. Cheapest bid was $6,575. The most expensive bid was $8,804. One, I don't think we have a choice but to change the locks because there's so many keys out there from the construction. We don't have any idea who has them anymore. Because the electrician had them, the plumber had her, the
Bob Sampson.
yeah, concrete man had them, every.
Yeah.
So, well, we have to do that. And the time locks, I just think makes sense, because I think these bathrooms should be open, accessible to the thing, and to constantly have the police and DPW go out and open them in the morning and lock them at night. Then they don't get locked if the police are tied up and stuff. So I would like to make a motion that we go with the lower price with his Washington locksmith to do both parks for $6,675, $575, as long as there's money in the open space account to cover that expense. You know offhand, Lisa, if there is,
Yeah, we should be good.
we should be good.
Mhm.
So I'll make that motion if anybody wants a second.
I'll second.
Anybody have any questions on it or comments? I think it's a.
No, the bathrooms need to be accessible during the day.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, I
And
just
if
can't,
this is the way it works, then that's the way
I
it
mean, to
works.
put all the, have nice bathrooms like that there and have people use it for you, John.
I know
I think it's crazy.
my granddaughter and wife will be very happy.
Yeah. So, okay, roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Okay, introduction for ordinance number 109/2021, the ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 7, subsection 716, into the entitled penalty. What's that one, Mike?
That was overweight trucks because we had a flat fee of $200. So this raises it to the, disorderly persons, which was, I think, 1,200. It's anyways, the maximum penalties community service, even jail time in the judge's discretion.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We introduce that ordinance 109/2021. Anybody want a second?
Second,
Any other questions, comments, discussion on it? Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes,
Mr. Marqueta?
yes,
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we introduce ordinance number 110/2021, an ordinance establishing the position of OEM coordinator and deputy OEM coordinator. That's pretty much required. We don't have a choice, so I'm making a motion to. Anybody any questions, comments, discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
yes,
Mr. Marqueta?
yes,
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
I'm going to introduce another ordinance number 111/2021. This is some of the housekeeping Lisa's been doing the last month. We don't really have these positions in our ordinance, and we really should have them covered. So it's an ordinance establishing the position of township attorney. Anybody want a second?
Second,
Any questions, comments? Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
yes,
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
yes.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number 112/2021, an ordinance establishing the position of township engineer. Anyone want a second?
Second,
Questions, comments? Roll call?
Mr. Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
yes.
Ms. McDermott?
yes.
Frank, you want to make AE? You want to make the motion to introduce AE?
Yeah, sure. I'll make a motion introducing ordinance 113-2021, establishing the position of zoning code enforcement officer.
I'll second it. Any questions, comments, discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
I'm sorry, comments. I see this one line is still in here. Must not reside within Greenwich Township because of the possibility of conflicts.
Recommended by John Drill because of conflict of interest. possibly.
And the attorney that reviewed this, what, didn't you have somebody look at this? The labor,
Yes, which one reviewed it,
right,
and he didn't take issue with the residency restriction. If nothing else, I mean, if you guys wanted to,
no,
establish the
you can
position.
continue the voting.
You could, yeah, you could take it out because it's okay.
No.
Do you want it stricken?
I
I mean, you want to discuss it?
I think we should at least have a conversation on the subject matter,
Okay.
because one of the problems that you're having currently with and just for some brief history, Larry was really only supposed to be a temporary zoning officer, but unfortunately Dave Beretta was never able to return, and we've just kind of allowed that to go on. Larry's pretty darn unfamiliar with our community all the way across the board. And I'm gonna take, for example, he didn't even recognize the graffiti and stuff that was taking place below the chamois sign as even being part of the community or an issue. He's completely unfamiliar with the town. And I'm not saying that another zoning officer is not gonna have that same struggle. But if there's a qualified individual here in town that's familiar with the town, I think that would be more of an asset than it would be a hindrance. And that's just my opinion.
I agree with you in almost every other position. I've had this argument with several people on township committee over the years. Because some people have the belief that no employee should live in the township. Because it's like a nepotism issue, which I think is, in my opinion, absurd. I'm not calling what their opinion is absurd. That a kid could be born and raised in Greenwich Township, go to school, say, become a police officer, come back and say, we're not gonna hire you because you live in Greenwich Township. I don't think that's appropriate. I do kind of understand what John Drill's saying in this circumstance. Almost anything you do in your own property could fall under zoning. So if the person lives in town and they do something inappropriate, and then they go out and cite somebody for it, it could just create a whole lot of hassles in this one position. I agree with your theory and philosophy in almost every other position, but they're going to be enforcing laws on their neighbors. They're going to sit there in their backyard, sitting on their deck, watching a guy maybe sneaking a deck in, and now he's got to sit there and say, do I turn him in and ruin a 20-year friendship? Or do I sit here and ignore it, and the next meeting have somebody up here say, My understanding is so-and-so put a deck on and the zoning officer sat there and watched them. And I think it's unique to that position, because you could say the same thing about a police officer, but I don't think it's analogous in the sense of,
No, I see your
you
point.
know what I'm saying?
No,
That's-
I see your
That's
point.
why I have no problem with
Right,
it. But
I
I
see
do
your
agree
point.
with your main tenet of a township resident should not be barred from applying
Right.
for, or receiving positions.
No, I see your argument, but
That's my opinion. I
No,
know you
yep.
don't have to agree.
No, I hear you.
Just, yeah.
Yeah, so, my opinion is exactly what Bob's. I was actually one of the people that disagreed with him on it.
Yeah.
But
do wanna say
I've
that.
actually since changed my position. I think you'll agree. Last two people we hired were from town, which I supported. But anyway, for this position, I do stand by my original position, which is for the same reasons Bob states. I just think it puts the person in a difficult position where they're gonna have to go. He's saying unfamiliar with the town, being familiar with the town and knowing a lot of people in town would be very detrimental to that position, because now, you could have a conflict of interest with a lot of people that you're friendly with. So I agree that for this particular position, just this one position, we should make sure that they don't live in town.
I agree. Anybody else? Roll call?
I think I got to,
Did we vote? Oh.
No,
yeah,
you-
you started it,
you
and then I
got-
read that line,
Yeah, yeah.
and that brought a red flag up to
okay,
me.
I think, I don't think I
No.
got your vote. Mr.
And my
Bean,
vote is no.
Mr. Marqueta,
Voting out, yes.
and Ms. McDermott.
Yes.
Are we reviewing that job? Is that what job he's in? The job description?
That's not, this is the ordinance creating the position,
Okay,
job descriptions later, yeah.
so in that ordinance, it actually has the no residing in town, or is that,
Yeah,
okay, because the job description itself, we're gonna review that on a separate, right?
correct.
Okay.
I'm gonna lump the next three together. I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 6021, the redemption of the tax lien for block 23.20, lot 23. Resolution 6121, refund of tax overpayment for block 20, lot 13.06. And resolution 62-621, redemption of tax lien on block 23.27, lot 5. Anybody want to second that motion?
A second.
Anybody have questions, comments on it? Roll call, Lisa?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes,
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
The next, I guess I'll make the motion to, and then we can discuss after a second. I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 6321, a resolution directing land use board to conduct a preliminary investigation report to determine an area in need of redevelopment. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay. I'll comment first. We discussed this last month about the graffiti buildings.
Mhm.
And that whole large block up there, which includes the land we own too, out there by Shammy Shine and stuff. That contiguous block of properties and, to look into, see if they are an area in need of redevelopment. Some of the properties are I don't want to insult anybody with this. Some of the properties included in this blocks are company or businesses that are already there and run very well. They're very neat and stuff. I think it only enhanced their property value as well if they're included in this. So it's not a shot at them, but those vacant buildings that you're saying where the graffiti is and stuff, I just think that whole area needs to be looked into and possibly try to attract somebody to come in and develop it with the type of businesses we would want, like. I certainly don't want a truck stop there. But
Restaurants.
yeah, a restaurant, there's a liquor license that's active in the one place. So I'd love to see something like, similar to Applebee's or, Chili's or something like that come in or whatever, but. So that's what that is all about. Motion is seconded. Anybody have any questions or comments on it? Paul, did you want to say anything?
No, I think it's a good idea.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Roll call, then, I guess, Liz.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Highland Subcommittee, who's that? Lily or Paul? You,
We have 6421.
oh, I'm sorry, then this one, okay. Okay. I'll make the motion for resolution 6421, a resolution setting land use board secretary salary. Anybody want a second?
A second.
Anybody have questions, comments on that? Mr. Frank or Paul, you're on the land use board?
No.
Okay. Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Okay. Highland Subcommittee. Who wants to talk
Um,
about that?
Well, originally, we had discussed having an advisory committee to take a look at the problems in the past, the problems and the potential problems in the future, and whether or not joining the Highlands is a good fit for the township. And after, originally, I thought we were channeling this down to the land use board, but the chairman of the land use board felt that it was out of their scope of practice, and felt it would be better for the township committee to appoint the advisory council, the ad hoc council, whatever you want to call it, to look at it independently, not with the land use board, and then give us a recommendation as to what they thought. And with that being said, a handful of names have been brought forth who have volunteered to take a look at it. And with that being said, the land use board is still fairly involved, just not as official land use board members. With that being said, Bruce Williams has volunteered to sit on it. Dawn Condis has volunteered to sit on it. Joe Chichello, who's on our environmental commission and also on the land use board, has volunteered to sit on it. And Lillian has volunteered to sit on it.
So I'm the liaison for the Highlands. This is the first I'm hearing of this. I was never asked to sit on it. How is that possible?
Well, actually, it shouldn't be the first because we discussed it.
Yeah, I know, but you didn't talk
Before.
about setting up, how come you didn't approach me to be on the Highlands?
Well,
subcommittee?
Frank, actually, there are two reasons why, because you've already expressed a pretty solid, you're not interested, you don't think it's a good deal.
So that means I don't get to see
Nope,
a seat
nope.
at the table?
No, no,
Okay,
there's room for you at the table. This was the four that we were doing. And although I'm completely open to whatever happens, I felt that I wasn't a good choice because I have certainly expressed interest in being involved.
so I just think we need to talk about, separation of duties here. I mean, am I or am I not the liaison to the Highlands subcommittee? Why is Paul taking the lead on things to do with Highlands? I think this is something that, setting a pretty bad precedent. I don't think I'm gonna jump into zoning anytime soon.
No,
Unless you
but
think it's okay.
no, but
All right,
but
but,
at the same rate, you weren't going to jump into this either. You weren't going to, you've already pretty much
So here-
said,
here-
I think it's a bad idea, I don't want to do it.
no, but here's the thing with this. So I want you to understand something on this. You can't have non-professionals look at this. You know what a commitment this is for our town, jump into the Highlands? It's a major commitment for our town. We've already looked at this years ago and spent a lot of money on it. If you really want to look at this, you have to have a budget allotted to this. You have to have professionals. You need John Drill, you need our planner, you need to have all these different professionals. You need a budget for this. You cannot just have, you can have laymen look at this. You're not gonna have your lawyer look at it. You're not gonna have John Drill look at it.
Alls we're doing right now is asking them to look at it. It's all that legal work and planning work has been done in the past. There's documents that have not been actually answered according to them about what took place many years ago.
So why don't we do this? Because if you want to go down the road, fine, if the town committee supports it. I think the way you went about it is not the right way to do this, okay? But why don't we just take a vote here
Yeah,
to
let's
see if
take a
we
vote.
want, it's to see if we want to expend money on going down something where I think it's a big mistake. I know you know where I stand. I don't understand how any township. So when they developed the Highlands, right, they came up with a plan. And when they came up with the plan, they said, Greenwich, 90% of your town is in the planning area. This is the Highlands saying we're in the planning area. So that means, so everybody knows this, that means the Highlands thinks that Greenwich is a good place for all the development to go. That's what the Highlands thinks, because they put us in the planning area, okay? Why we would want to opt into a group that is targeting us for development is beyond me, okay? It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. why we would want to spend money when we already went down this with subcommittees.
But I wasn't here for that. I have no idea what the Highlands offers and doesn't offer. In all fairness. Maybe you were here when they did that. I have no idea.
But address,
I have no idea what the pros and
but,
cons
but
are.
Bob,
of the
Bob,
Highlands.
but here's what you do know. You do know that the Highlands has targeted us for development.
No, that's what you're saying. Now, that's not what I heard the night they were here on
But
the
Bob,
meeting.
we're in the planning, we're not in the preservation area, we're in the planning area. That means that this is where they think the development should go. That's why we're in the planning area. That's why Pohat is in the preservation area. They don't think development should go in Pohat. They do think development should go here. That's why they put us in the planning area. So
Okay, so what does that mean?
that means that this is a group that thinks Greenwood should be a prime area for development, where all we try to
So
do.
if we join, does that mean they're automatically gonna put development in here?
I don't know, Bob, you'd have to have lawyers look at it. You'd have to have,
That's my point, like.
but what to get
What
what?
you're asking is for me just to believe what you're saying. I have no idea if you're accurately.
You don't need to believe me. You need to just look at where we are.
I don't know what that means.
You don't know what the planning, I'm telling you what the planning area means.
You're telling me. That's
All
not
right,
what-
let's
that's not-
let,
That
let's
is not
let,
what I heard from them the night they were here talking.
Do you have anything to say on this?
what does a planning area mean?
Well, the planning
I
area is
understand what
a
you're saying
place
with
where they
planning.
wanted, right, and the preservation area obviously is where they want the land preserved so that you can do
Right.
very little with your property.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But-
So they didn't put us in the preservation area. They did that for a reason. Because they think, all we try to do is preserve our town. They don't think our town should be preserved. They put us in the, if they wanted us to preserve
So
our
if we
town,
join,
right?
but we're not in there now.
Why
So
would the,
so that means they can't plan here. So if we join, does that mean we're giving them permission to build here?
my question is,
For
why
a
would you?
certain amount, yes, if you read some
I
of
say we
it,
just vote.
if you
clear
start
that.
reading some of it, it does allow them to have a say over us. At least that's what I was understanding.
Well, but now in that meeting and multiple discussions afterward, they basically said that that's not true.
Well,
That's an old
well, like, you
wise
know what, we
tale.
could also, I think I'm starting to agree with Frank here in the sense of, maybe I need a lawyer to explain this to them. Because you're
That's
saying,
the
well, you
thing.
think, you're saying, well, you think, you're saying, well, you think. All I want is, I want a professional answer saying to Greenwich Township, not to me. This is why it's good for you or not good for you. I
Yeah,
guess that's what I'm looking for.
My motion would be that we drop this and we do not spend any money on it or pursue
I'll
it any
second it.
further.
Okay, any other questions, comments, discussion? Well, what's the motion? I want to make sure when I vote.
Well, I got a
To no longer
comment.
pursue the Highlands.
I got a comment and I think that's a bad decision. And just from the, first off, Dave assured me in the 88 communities that they oversee, that they have never forced a town to do something that they didn't want to do. So that's up and foremost.
So why don't they put us in the preservation area?
Well, that I can't answer the question. They're not here for that. But this is what we're trying to seek information for. Number two is the residents, and just us from a planning standpoint, need to know that we are so far behind in studies.
Yes.
Master plan, the transportation,
So I'm glad you
routing.
brought that up because that is what you're after. You're after money from them so that we could do certain things in our master plan that you want us to do. One of them,
Ooh, I don't want anything to do with the
well, you
master.
just said it. You
I
just said we
want,
need
I
money.
want the master plan funded we
Why?
need-
Why do you want to fund it?
because.
So you're gonna make us go into the Highlands so you get the master plan funded?
No, there are 5 or 6 other things, including
You're not
a
good reason.
town-wide long-term planning for sewer capacity for the entire community.
There it is. There it is, folks.
I
He
mean,
wants to develop, he wants sewer in town. He wants this town to get overdeveloped. He just said it on the record. And you realize if you extend sewer to the entire town, what happens? He doesn't care. I don't care what happens.
I didn't say the entire, I said a plan.
You just said to the whole town, you just said it in front of everybody.
Can we move the affordable housing if there's sewer placed somewhere else?
Listen.
That's one of the requirements. yeah.
Yes, that's one of the requirements, right?
I don't.
Listen, the motion's on the table.
We're just so far behind on so many studies and all, and
Now,
if you
Paul,
look
you're
at the-
after getting sewer.
No,
Yes, you
Frank,
are.
I'm after a
That's what you're
circulation.
after.
I'm after several $100,000 worth of available money.
Regardless of what it does to the future development of the town.
I don't think it does anything to the
Exactly.
future development of the town.
That's ridiculous.
We're getting plans. You're getting,
Opting into the Highlands plan.
I don't know that I'm opting into it yet. I haven't heard all the
Well, then
details
you're not
yet.
getting the money you want.
Well, that, exactly. But at this stage of the game, there is an organization that has hundreds of thousands of dollars that we could utilize to bring our master plan, our circulation plan, our wastewater management plans. I don't think it's the right word is wastewater.
No,
but-
that's exactly.
No,
what
it,
it
all these plans
so that
need to
we
be
could
done.
Also that we could overdevelop the town, in my opinion.
First
That's,
off,
that's my
our
opinion.
zoning in town is 20 acres, the Highland is 17 acres. How is that going to overdevelop your town?
What do you mean? The Highlands, you said the Highlands is lower than our own zoning.
Yeah, they're at 17 and we're at 20,
Right.
but at
Why would
17
I jeopardize
acres,
that?
how,
Oh, so now you're saying we should go down to 17?
no, I'm not saying that, but
Gotcha.
I'm saying, there's no opportunity there to put 1 acre housing in and all that kind of thing, everything else.
What's
I said, I'm not saying that there's a spot where we're gonna put 200 homes in on 1 acre spots or half acre spots. That's not it. I mean,
Listen.
17 acres is min, we're at 20.
If you want to keep your town green, okay, and you don't want overdevelopment, you don't want to opt into a organization that thinks your town should be targeted for development. It's pretty simple in my mind.
That's
Okay.
not what they're saying.
Yeah, we're
Even
in the-
though
we're in the
even
planning
though
area.
it says it's a planned area, that is not what they're saying.
Okay,
That is
All
not
right,
what they're
so-
saying.
I'm not
I'm
gonna
done.
argue over this, but the night they were here, they said if your zoning is more restrictive, they were never forced to change, so I don't know how it would change anything, but if you guys are done, we'll go with the vote.
I'm done.
Well, I mean, does Frank want to do a different approach to see it, or you just
Now,
don't want anything to do with it,
I
right?
want nothing
Okay.
to do with it.
All right.
Lisa, roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
I'm gonna abstain because I didn't have the privileges of Frank of having the professionals explain it to me how many years ago he did it. I don't think anyone up here is qualified to give me the answers. I have no idea what the answers are. I don't think I'm
So what's the-
qualified to even vote on this, so.
Let's just check. A yes vote means that we are no longer going to pursue it, right? Because that was the motion.
Right, yeah, because you said you
So
made a
if you don't
motion
want to
that we
pursue it, you
dropped
would
it, so.
vote, you would
if you
vote
don't wanna
yes if you
pursue
don't
it-
want to pursue it.
I'm abstaining because I
Okay.
don't, I have no idea
Fair enough, fair enough.
what we're voting on.
I have no idea either. and how-
And that's why you would have someone look into and come back and give you a report. Frank had that advantage already. Obviously, he did it. And I understand where he's coming from. I don't have the answers. I'm only going by what Frank's interpretation of what he read and what he was told by the professionals. I don't know if anything's changed in all those years. I don't know. So I can't get the vote. I was willing to have them here and listen to them. I'm willing to get the answers that we asked for that night, which I don't think we've ever gotten. I guess that's what the subcommittee would do. I don't think I have enough information to decide what I want to do. So I'm just abstaining. So go ahead with the roll call.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
No.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes,
So it's done, right? Take that off the agenda for next month. Unless somebody brings it up again.
Right, somebody get back.
Somebody can always ask. Okay, I'd like to nominate, or actually, I'd like to move Pam Peslis from alternate number 3 on the land use, number 4, up to the alternate number 3 on the land use board with the advice and consent of you. So I'm recommending her for number 3.
What, would somebody leave?
We have the opening from when we moved Bill Kaniuk up yet.
Oh, okay.
So she's 4. I'll move her up to number 3, which then create a vacancy on 4.
Okay.
So is everybody in agreement with that? I wouldn't just do yea or nay on that.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Yeah.
yeah.
Then I'd like to nominate Francis Stein, that goes by the name of Rocky. He lives up on North Main Street. Longtime resident here. You know, everyone I've said several times, I've looked at somebody from up in the Heights area. He's willing to do it as an alternate. He doesn't know if we ever want to even move up to full member because he has a business, he runs it, and he doesn't know if he has the time to devote to it, but he's willing to give it a shot, see what it's all about, and see how far he can go on it. I spoke to him the other night, seems like he's a nice guy and stuff, so I'm appointing Francis Stein as alternate number 4 at the land use board. Anybody have any questions or comments on it? All in favor? Aye. Okay. We're only gonna do the OEM coordinator, or? I thought we were gonna wait till January for that.
We have to reappoint Joe because I think his term is up before our next meeting in November.
Okay,
So if you can,
so at least Joe, we're gonna do, okay.
correct.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Joe Mexi as the OEM coordinator for Greenwich Township. Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Any other questions, comments? Do we need a roll call on that one, Lisa?
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Job descriptions. Zoning code officer, did you have a chance to look at this one? Frank?
Yeah, she got my,
Okay.
I gave her all my recommendations. I don't know if you want to review them now.
So that's the one that I inserted Frank's comments and suggested additions. Rich Winter did look at those and he wanted to just make sure that it wasn't going into the creation of the position ordinance that we did,
Mhm.
because he said you don't want to, the way that he explained it essentially is like, take those specific duties and put it into the code.
Right.
We have more flexibility in the job description, so those additions are new, if you guys wanted to discuss them.
Anybody want to discuss them? You already gave your comment?
Yeah, she
Did
put them
you-
in here
did-
under,
yeah, did-
I don't know if you want to go through them or we have to,
I-
what do we have to do? We have to vote on.
We just have to
You can make a
adopt,
motion to adopt.
the job
if you want. Does anybody?
or
wanna
you can make a
discuss it?
change.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss it. Again, we've already heard my objection about the resident not being available, but who's gonna fund this? I mean, this is a huge, more time than it's currently being spent. Sweep the township 2 times a week for snipe sign enforcement. This includes removing the snipe signs, contacting the violators, giving warnings. Are we supplying him with a car, the tools, the yellow vest, while he's standing out there on the road removing these signs?
So how do you plan on removing the signs? What's your plan?
Well, again, I was expecting us to do this, and I don't have the answer for that at this stage of the game. I'm expecting our businesses to follow it. It's the businesses that aren't following it. But you're adding a ton of time. And again, if this is what we want our
Well-
zoning officer, code enforcement to do,
Well, we could go.
we've got to supply him with the equipment and the hours to do it.
Well,
This isn't
definitely
getting
the
done
hours.
in
The hours
3
are-
hours.
well, no,
No,
I think
but
we all
we-
kind of know the hours.
The only reason I brought this in is this, I thought we already addressed the fact that we wanted to expand the hours.
Yeah, yeah, we
That's
talked
the only
about
reason.
that.
Well, I know we
talked
talked
about
about it, but we certainly didn't fund it.
We can hold off on
We
it.
can hold off,
don't
we can
care.
hold off for January at the end of the budget.
You know, and then
We
there,
all kind of know the hours have to go up. We
Right.
already talked about that, so.
I just think there's other issues here too, but let's put it off till
You wanna
January.
wait and
Yep,
we'll
no,
do it
let's
as a
wait,
budgeting process?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, anything that has to be done tonight.
No,
Okay, so that won't take long. Administrator, I think we're discussing in executive, because I have you as a race notice, and I think we need to discuss that. Is that okay, Mike?
Yes.
That's fine.
School crossing guards, Rich, are you okay with the, I mean, I was just gonna heed to him on this one.
Yeah.
You okay with the job description for crossing guard?
Yes, basically it was what we already
They kind of have it in their policy, we just want to get it in our.
formalized. It.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we adopt the school crossing guard job description.
A second.
Any other comments or questions on it? We can just do yeah or nay on that, right? All in favor?
Yeah,
Yay. Okay. Policy manual. Did you want to discuss that now?
You know, we've talked about it several months. If anybody has any specific questions, I had explained previously that it's drastically changed this year. Usually every couple of years, the Mel hands down some updates that they want you to add, you know, new state statute regulated things that we, you know, have to add. This year, it was drastically changed. They actually hired a law firm to go in and go through the whole thing, make sure it was updated to, you know, the new Family Medical Leave Act and all of those things, just to make sure that it's current. So it is quite different, and the positive in it is that the handbook that they're recommending, that's actually distributed to employees, is much simpler. We had, I think we were up to like 170-page employee handbook that no one could get through. So I think that that's a really good addition. And I did go through and make sure that what was existing in our policies and in our manual that was not in their draft, like some things that were Greenwich specific that we added over the years, that those are in there. And then Rich Wenner and I went through everything in accordance with what you guys had asked, and he's satisfied as well. We are working on, still like to work on introducing a volunteer handbook, because I think that would be a good thing to have. So that's not ready yet, and he and I are gonna do one once over on the handbook itself, making sure that everything is referenced appropriately. So in other words, we're gonna hand out a much reduced handbook to the employees and then reference it appropriately to the policy manual and make that available online.
Okay, so we don't need to take any action.
We do.
do
We
need
have
take
to
any-
actually adopt this, pending Rich's final okay. It has to be in place by November 1st, so that we can
Okay.
keep our, deductible and
Okay,
everything as
okay.
discussed. So
You wanna make that motion?
I make a motion that we adopt the policies and procedure manual employee handbook.
Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Any other questions or comments on it? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
The best practices inventory we already discussed, right? on their
Yes.
report. The aqua hydrant fees, we have a discussion on that. What's the issue on that?
So Joe provided that notice kind of late last week, and I guess, I don't know why the notice went to him, but it did. And this is something that's coming down, and I usually try not to say it out loud because Bloomsbury as well has been kind of fortunate not to be assessed those fees for a long time, but they're coming around and they're gonna start charging everybody. So it will be something that we'll have to consider in our budget next year, although I do believe last year, Paul, that's correct, right? I think we budgeted extra knowing it was coming.
Yes.
But they're gonna start billing us now. And that's for, I believe, all the additional hydrants that were put in, Mike Finelli's not here. Oh.
Yeah, pay center. So,
Yeah,
I mean, just so that the public knows that these hydrants that you see around town and everything cost the town, right around $135,000 a year. They're not free.
Yeah.
And that's paid for.
Do we actually have a new hire to appoint with DPW thing? Or he wants?
No,
or he
Joe
to
wants
advertise on it?
permission to add his two annual part-time employees for winter work. One with a Class B license, and the other one just to be able to drive a regular pickup
Did the
truck.
same ones from last year? Or he's just rehiring? or-
He's kind of rehiring, but those people have moved on, but he needs to rehire two people.
Oh,
so we
okay.
need, I think he needs to advertise.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, he
wants
needs to
wants
advertise.
Oh, okay. You want to make that motion then?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to advertise to hire two part-time snow-related employees.
A second
Okay, all in favor?
it.
Aye.
Aye.
2021 holiday party. Talk to Lisa about this.
Outdoors.
No, actually, I guess we could have it indoors. We didn't have one. Did we have one last year? I don't remember COVID, right? Last year we missed. We didn't budget for one really this year because we didn't know how the money was gonna go. Everything, but we really haven't done anything for a lot of the volunteers and the employees in 2 years now. And I asked Lisa and Shannon to look through and see if we have any money we could come up with for a holiday party. And we think we found enough to host a party, Lisa, or not?
We have $1,080 left from Community Day fundraising, and we didn't touch the $1,000 that was in community celebration, so. That's those are the straightforward ones that are available, so.
And but Shannon thinks it's doable if we know it with, based on the number we had last time.
Correct.
So Lisa already booked a date if we
I
approve
had
it.
them holding Friday, December 11th.
Yeah, I think we have 3 and 10th.
I think it is the 10th.
10th is a Friday.
Yeah.
Yes.
got it, okay. Anybody have any comments or questions on it? I mean, you want to discuss it
Where-
for it? Yeah, huh?
Where is it?
Oh, Spain again. That's what we had last time. Anybody have any comments on it? I mean, I don't care. I just figured I wanted to bring it up because we either have to yay or nay it now. I mean, everything in December, it's like we're having a party.
Well, yeah, it's been almost 2 years.
I agree.
So I'll make a motion. We have the holiday party for 2021. Everyone second.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Correspondence, Lisa, anything?
I don't think anything additional other than Joe's several.
I'm gonna make a motion, open the public comment. Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to make a comment, can step up to the podium. You gotta give your name and your address. You have 3 minutes to talk. It's comment, not question and answer, so you can come up and make your comments in the form of a question after we close it. If someone up here would decide they wanted to give you an answer, an explanation, they're more than welcome to, but it's not a dialogue. So with that, anybody would like to come up?
Good evening. My name is Evie Roderer. I live at 509 Peak West Road. I just wanted to make a comment about the dogs in the park. First, it's very nice that people can get out, especially when the weather's nice. Many people have pets, a lot of dogs, and I have started to walk my dogs in the park as well. I do clean up after my dogs. When I'm walking, which is 2 or 3 times a week before I look, I don't see a lot of leftover things from the dogs that people have left. But if we're worried about things being left behind and not being able to police it, then you're gonna have to consider not letting people in the park, because today when I was walking there, along the edge, facing the park on the left side along the cornfield, where that edge is by the walking path, there was lots of debris, and I was picking it up. And I will also pick up any other dog poop I see that's not from my own dogs. I've been telling people that you were considering possibly banning the dogs whenever I see someone walking a dog and they're very concerned. A lot of people really enjoy it. So maybe just the fact that other people are starting to say, hey, listen, if you don't pick up after your dogs, which I'm doing, telling these people that you might lose the ability to have the dogs here. So just so you know, it's not just the dogs and the owners that are leaving behind dirt. Today, I saw a lot of things that were probably left from, people bringing the kids, watching the soccer, watching the lacrosse, whatever. But there was garbage there, and it wasn't dog garbage. So as I walk, I clean it, so you know, and I will make mention to other people that I see. So I'm not going to snitch on people necessarily, but I will make sure that they hear from me politely. So, thank you that the dogs are currently allowed, and hopefully they will always be. I think it's a place that you're finding people really enjoy going now because they have access also to their dogs. So it makes the park a very enjoyable place to be, and it makes Stewartsville a very wonderful place to be in. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Evening, committee, Robert Becker, 2 Beavers Road, in California. But I introduced myself, I actually take care of the Napa Mall, at Shops at Greenwich. Kudos to yourselves too. I wanted to give a couple comments on your agenda tonight, but my experience, I wanted to give some kudos out to Ms. Hageman and Ms. Bird. It's really just been my correspondence with them for work, so they've done some pretty outstanding work in terms of getting back to things. You brought a couple things up this evening, and I want to speak really as a commercial property owner, the people I work for. The target, the panhandling, I think there's an education and an outreach effort. I think there's probably commercial property owners that will say the exact same thing that you all said tonight. So maybe what might you align with them? Knock on wood, there's been nothing at Shops at Greenwich, but if you particularly reach out, I know there was a comment made about Target reaching out to them, maybe a letter or a copy of a letter that has already been sent goes to the general counsel at Target. Now, what do you do? He or she, I don't know who it is. The point is that's going to quickly trickle down to the local manager, because that person, the GC, does not want to be burdened with us in Stewartsville. It's important here, but they pay too much, and they're like, why am I having this pit bother me? That will quickly filter down, and I'm pretty sure that whether it's Walmart or Target, that local manager has a community engagement metric that they're their bonus is based on. So maybe that type of education outreach, just be an idea. The signage too is important. We see sometimes signs thrown up on telephone poles, painting, masonry, et cetera, and also along our property, not from our tenants. Don't want to burden the police officers, but how might you, the township, work with the commercial property owner when the signs are not for that particular property's tenants, to enforce people from basically getting free advertising? Don't have an answer. I'm willing to participate in a conversation just from our side, because it's a nuisance for us as well, because it gets lawn mowed, et cetera, and it gets shredded up. It's, the coplast, you get it. Storage bins, just experiencing some other towns. We had Josh, the owner of Napa here. He did some work. He had a storage bin out back, perfect, but you may want to consider putting it on your construction permitting window of plus 30 days after the punch out from the DCA permits, plus 60 days. Beyond that, a new permit is required with fees. So there may be ways within your existing ordinance relying upon DCA to cover storage bins for homeowners or commercial owners to get a storage bin on premises for a fixed window of time. And it's literally there saying, after that permit's approved, or you get your building permit punched out as approvals, then you have X days to clear the lot. Same for signs for people that paint and lawnmower, because they could sit out there from, you get your house painted in September, the sign went up in May. I don't want to look at it all summer, so it might be something to consider. The last is really a collective on the, you had a couple of discussions this evening about new appointments and job descriptions. I'd like to suggest that in the maybe in the policies and procedure manual, rather than the job description, that no personal emails be used by township staff or appointments. I think that would meet the open records law, and I think it would help to promote accountability. So just a recommendation. Happy to work with you all, and if there's anything that on ad hoc committees really just that come up through perspective.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anyone else? Motion to close public comment. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Anyone want to respond to anyone?
Just to Mr. Becker real quick, because, they have the option of removing the signs on his own. They have people that maintain the property and stuff like that. So when those signs show up, take them down, out. I mean, you're not breaking any laws. They're not allowed to be there.
I don't know if, you gotta check with Mike on that. I don't know if any citizen could take down a snipe sign.
No, on his
Well, no, you
property.
can't.
On his property.
On his property.
This is a persistent problem. Private property, people always think they can put those snipe signs in the right of way because it's a public right. It may be a public right of way for the town, but it doesn't allow you to put signs on private property. So if anybody puts a sign, it's different when it's like the furniture, a store is having a sale and they put the things out there. That's still a violation because they haven't got the permit, but there's this long-held belief, which is incorrect, that because there's a public easement, that people can put signs in there. You can't. So if somebody puts a sign on your property, whether it's in the easement or not, you have the ability to take that sign out because they don't have your permission to be there. Now, if somebody puts a snipe sign on private property and they have permission, then you gotta, that's another.
That's the
level.
process, right?
But somebody puts a sign on your property or in the public easement, they don't have permission, that sign should be there.
So it's a simple fix for Mr. Becker and not so simple in other areas.
I would make another recommendation to you on that, though. I would bring it to the zoning officer and have them notify the people.
That too, sure.
Anyone else? Thank you. Yeah, thanks for everything. Have a good night.
And
I hear you're on the dogs. I'm not against the dogs in the park. I just have brought it up that I see it a lot. I don't even take exception to it. I don't agree with you at all to try to draw an analogy or make it equal between people and dogs. I don't think the dogs have as much right in the park. I think to sit there and say that because people make trash, you should consider getting rid of them and try to make that the same as a dog. I don't buy that part of your argument, but the rest of it, I'm okay with.
The analogy is meant just to show you that you get a lot of garbage.
Yeah, the park was
Human beings.
built for kids, not for dogs. So
Okay.
I don't buy that part of your argument. That's all I'm saying. Okay? But I hear you on the rest of it though. I agree with you. I hope it does work out. It doesn't matter to me. I don't use the park that much. And like I said, if it was real bother, I think there'd be 10 people here like you saying, I want the dogs out of the park. So it's obviously not that big of a problem yet. I don't see it, so. I hear you, but I don't buy that part of your argument.
I'll take the notes. Thank you.
Okay, have a good night.
You
Thanks.
too.
Okay, with that, we're gonna go into executive session. I don't know if we're gonna make any decisions, but I don't know if you wanna wait for it. Not, but thanks for coming. Always nice to see you, Vicky.
Thank you.
If you need to email me.
I'm hoping like 30 to 40 minutes. There won't be another public comment though, if that's what you're waiting for. Okay. I mean, you're welcome to wait, but. Okay. I'll make a motion, we go into executive session, to discuss contracts, personnel, and litigation.
Yeah, that's Halcon, the basketball courts, PD vacation policy, and litigation is LMR.
Just the voting on the personnel for vacation buyback.
Oh, okay, yeah, we might vote on that, yeah. So, anybody want a second for executive?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. I'll make a motion, we come out of executive session. Anybody want a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Mike?
Yes, Mayor, we emerged from executive session at 9:16 PM where we discussed contractual matter, dealing with the Halcon contract, personnel matters dealing with the township clerk and the police department vacation policy, and a litigation matter, a potential litigation matter dealing with LMR. No official action was taken. Copies of these minutes will be available at such time as the committee determines there is no harm to the public interest.
I'll make a motion that the attorney take action as discussed in executive session. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. McDonough?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Anyone have anything else they want to discuss or bring up? Looking for a motion to adjourn. Anybody want to make it?
I make the motion to
Anybody want
adjourn.
a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready for tomorrow?
Yes, I am.
Looks tomorrow.